Hi, it's Paul from Model Builder International. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified of future videos. They're coming out about one a week now, and the button for that is just down there. Today we're going to have a look at a kit from Mirage-Hobby. This one is their 1/72 M5. So the M5 was an upgraded version of the M3. They needed the radial aero engines used to the M3 for other purposes, so they put a new engine in, did some redesigns, and we ended up with the M5, which was already lacking firepower and sort of borderline obsolete when it was first saw action in 1942, which is what this kit represents. Mirage-Hobby introduced this kit in 2012, and they've done a couple of other versions of it since then, of the mid and late versions. Okay, so let's have a look, see what we get inside the box. First thing I say, let's note this is the M5, so basically it's the Stuart M3 with a different engine and some hull changes to it as well. So there looks like there's a small photo etch sheet and a decal sheet, bit of history on the side there, nothing on the bottom. And this is their Tunisia 1942 version, so we'll see what that looks like. Inside we have two bags of sprues and the instructions. Let's look at this first. Instructions, decal sheet attached to the front. A small photo etch sheet with, looks like 3 parts there. Bit of historical background, specifications. When you open it up, there's, let's look at this. Instructions are here. There's 11 steps there. Pretty straightforward there. Nicely, looks quite good. Photo etch is used for guards around the driving lights, it appears. There's one painting option, there's another one, and there's a third one. So there's 3 painting options. They're all from Company A 70th Tank Battalion, Morocco, February 1943, December 42, January 43. And there are slight differences between them all. They're all basically green. Paints at the bottom here, named and called out in Vallejo. Inside here is just some adverts for some other of their tanks, an M5A1, Panzer 4D, and a Grant. So let's just put those up there. These 2 sprues, I'll open those up and we'll have a look-see inside. And inside we have, as usual, there's the link to Mirage-Hobby's Facebook page, so don't forget to have a look at that, facebook.com/MirageHobbyOfficial. And inside we have, in the one bag, we've got rubber band tracks, and looks like a towing hawser made from the same type of material. 2 sprues here. This one's obviously the running gear. Looks nicely detailed, fine attachment points. Ejector pin marks all seem to be actually on the screw itself. Not seeing anything awry there. They look quite nice. This looks like top deck, small parts, grab handles, main gun in the middle. That's quite nice. And then the other one, this is the turret, that's separate. We've also got the main hull. So that's the underneath, front face. And then we've got the last one with small parts. Some nice detail on these, I can see. So it should be a nice, quite a nice little kit actually. So what I shall do is I will, as usual, take photographs of all these, scans of the instructions. Those will all be on the website. The link is down there to go and have a look at those in your own time. So you can take as long as you want looking over things. And next I'll go on, we'll work our way through the instructions and have a look at some of the parts as they come up in the instructions. Here we can see the first page of the instructions contains historical background to the M5, plus some specifications as well. The kit itself contains 145 plastic parts on 5 sprues. You've got 2 tracks and a towing cable of the flexible rubber type, small decal sheet, a small P with 3 parts, and these instructions that we're going to look through now. Photographs of absolutely everything you're about to see are on the website, and the link for that is underneath this video. Step 1 of the instructions is putting together the lower hull, and there's some nice detail on those parts. Step 2, you're putting together the bogies of the running gear making sets for Step 3, we put the bogies we've just made onto the lower hull that we've just made. Doesn't get much simpler than that. Again, there's some nice detail in here. Step 4, we're putting the top half of the hull together. Notice the way it's sort of put together so that later on they could make the mid version and the later version of the M5. And then step 5 is basically adding small details onto the back and the top of the rear of the vehicle. Some of these parts you might want to add later, such as shovels and things like that. And down to step 6, and basically do the same thing for the front of the vehicle. And it looks like, again, there could be a couple of pieces that you want to add later. And then with step 7, we start on the turret, adding more small details to the back and the right-hand side of the turret. And then in step 8, basically doing the same, adding more small details on the left-hand side of the turret, along with adding the main armament. I'll note the main armament has not been hollowed out at the end, so you might take a fine drill to that. And now we're sort of on the home stretch. Step 9 is simply adding a plate to the bottom of the turret. Step 10, we put the turret on the hull and we add the tracks. And then step 11 is not actually a step, it's just a picture of the completed vehicle. Obviously, you might want to break the build down into should we say stages or slightly different steps, like maybe you don't put the top of the hull on until later on, and attach that later once you've got all the tracks on. But that's about it so far. For the paint and decals, there's a small decal sheet, and you've got 3 options for vehicles, all of them obviously from North Africa, late 1942 to early 1943. The exact details of them are on the website, link is underneath. But basically they're all overall green. The colours are named and given Vallejo references, so if you use different paints you'll be easy enough to convert those into something else. So an overall conclusion, it's a nice little kit with some nice fine details on the parts. Fairly high parts count for such a small kit, which gives you an idea of the amount of detail that you'll see on there, which will give you something to work with to make it look a bit special. The only downside is there are some small parts, but you will end up with something that looks pretty neat. So many thanks to Mirage-Hobby for sending this along for us to have a look at. And I'll just mention, yeah, the pricing of this is pretty good as well.